Today, I'm going to unbox and take a look at Hoplite. Yes, this is warfare in the Greco-Persian Age, 5th to 4th century BCE. Hoplite, part of the Great Battles of History, Volume 15, and has several battles in this, including Ephesus, Marathon, Plataea, Mycale, Tanagra, Delium, Cunaxa, Nemea, Coronea, Leuctra Mantinea. I'm butchering some of those, but it's early when I'm filming this, so bear with me. This is published by GMT Games, and this is the second printing. This is a game system by Richard Berg and Mark Herman, and I've covered several of these games over the years, and own several of these, and have played several of these. This is the Great Battles of History system, again, developed originally by Richard Berg and Mark Herman, which I think began with like Alexander, but then they've gone to Rome with Julius Caesar and SPQR, and a whole host of other ages, all kind of focused on the ancient time period. And in my opinion, this is the go-to game for ancient tactical battles. My humble opinion. This is a very developed system. It's not necessarily easy, although there is a simplified version of this, but I find that even the simplified version is also a little crunchy, a little complicated, but I think it's well worth its effort. So look at the complexity scale here. We are at a 6. I don't know. I think with the simplified version, maybe that's at a 6. I put this more at a 7 or 8, just because there's a lot going on. Again, it's not the most complex game out there. It's just that there's a lot going on in this game. You're trying to simulate command and control during the ancient period, and there's activations, and there's kind of initiative and taking command or continuity, and then there's the whole aspect of the types of weapons and the cohesion of the unit. So there's a lot in this, but I think it does a really good job of giving you the feel of those battles, but it takes a little bit of effort. Solitaire suitability is 8 because there's an activation system, so it kind of allows you a little bit to not necessarily put your thumb on the scale for either one side, because the activations add a little bit of chaos to it. But there's no AI built into this system. Here's an example of the units. Here's an example of the maps. Now, something you're going to notice about some of the maps in this edition, some of them are kind of plain. You feel like you're playing North Africa World War II, right? Just a bunch of brown. Because in the ancient time period, because of especially the early ones, like with chariots and the like, they didn't play on uneven ground, or they didn't fight on uneven ground. So you're not going to play on uneven ground. So there's kind of a lot of wide open spaces, and that's where, given the number of these units and how they were organized, because in this game you're going to have phalanxes, which are like double wide units. You needed open ground. You needed open territory. So taking a group of a large contingency of units through broken terrain, it was going to break up your command. You were going to lose control of it, and you weren't going to be able to keep cohesion as you went into battle. So some of there is terrain on several of these, but there's some of these battles that are just wide open, and it's all about your maneuvering and your command. So enough of all that. Let's go into the back of the box and see what we have here. This one I picked up at my friendly local gaming store. I had looked for, I kind of passed this by a few times, but this was the second printing, and when it showed up on their shelf, I said, what the heck, there's time to pick this one up. Hoplite is the 15th volume in the Great Battles of History series, GBoH, of games allowing players to recreate classic battles from the pre-Alexandria Greco-Roman Persian age. The heyday of the hoplite, heavy infantry fighting in packed formation, a period that has often considered the birth of Western warfare, as opposed to the Persian Eastern style, which relied on archer, light cavalry, mobility. Exactly how hoplite warfare was fought, what really happened when the bell rang, is highly disputed by ancient military historians. Even today, hoplite allows you to test out your theories with 11 of the great battles of this era, from the Battle of Leuctra, featuring the huge 60-man deep phalanx of Boeotarch. Golly, I can't even get to that. Epanion, featuring Empanidas, to the classic confrontation between the Persian missile-armed troops and the classic Greek hoplite phalanx, using detailed mechanics meant to convey all the possibilities of this style of warfare. I got to get my coffee this morning. The possibilities range from the Hellenic law of inertia to drift to the right, to special capabilities of the Persian light cavalry, harassment and dispersal, to 3 different levels of hoplite advance to combat, the run, don't, walk rules, and a whole lot more. We even still have some good old chariots. Now, this is kind of like beginning the end of the chariots here. And you'll get to fight what was the biggest land battle in European history up to Napoleonic times, the immense Battle of Plataea, truly the deciding engagement of the Greco-Persian Wars. 2 maps and about 250 combat counters covering the Greek contingent from the 26 city-states under Passus, Spartan regent and general, versus Persians, Medes, Asians, which included Bactrians, Scythians, Indians, and the whole lot of others, and 7 mid-sized Greek city-states, all under Mardonius, Persian commander, and the son-in-law of the great King Darius. This package includes Simple GBoH 2nd edition versions for each of these battles, along with special rules that highlight the hoplite style of warfare. All right, great. So we got all that in there. There's a lot in this, and this is not, not a big thick box, so you're getting a lot in a small package here, or at least a regular size package here. I mentioned about the chariots there. There's one of the GBoHs is just about that. It's well, not just about that, but it's taking place in with early in the battle in military history, where it mainly involves Egypt and its battles. But the chariot is kind of focused, is kind of the focus of those engagements and the rules around that. In fact, that one is called, looking on my shelf here, Chariots of Fire. Imagine that. All right. So this one is focusing on the hoplites, which is a big, tightly densed unit, good thick box there. And when you're talking about like drift to the right, I mean, the way that the units, you had a whole group of men tightly packed, and they all had shields on one side and their spears on the other. So they had a tendency to automatically, whenever they moved, is kind of moved in that direction, the way they were holding their shields. Anyway, enough of all that. Here's the rules manual, and we got 32 pages with an index on the back. 32 pages is not too bad. I mean, that seems like a lot, but this system, this is the 15th edition. It's gone through a lot of different tweaks over the years, and so it's getting honed down to a pretty solid set of rules. Dual column, full color. You get a chance to see some of the counters here. As I said, there's a lot of information on these counters. There's a lot in this game. You've got your rank, your command range. Again, there's a command and control element, so how far away the leader is from some of these units, he's going to lose control. You've got command, you've got charisma, and you've got the command color. You got formation commander. They have the overall commander has initiative rating, so that takes into place of keeping activations. Then you have a capability rating for formation commanders. Here's the information on the units, the type, movement allowance, and the like. And you got your administrative counters like shock and cohesion in there. So the first part's talking about the terminology. If you haven't played one of these, then it takes a little bit of getting used to some of the different terminology. But again, tactical level ancient battles, this is the place to go. Here's military units, so you get a chance to see this phalanx here. It's going to be a normal units are this size, and then you got this phalanx is a double-sized unit there. So there's going to be special rules on how you kind of move and turn, and what's its kind of facing and zone of control, stuff like that on those. It's a little bit different. Here's leaders. Very, very important. Activation, this is your whole command and control structure, the activation and orders. You got the trumping here. That's your ability to take over, if you can take the initiative or keep the initiative and keep going. Here's your orders, special commands. So that's a big part. You see that's like two or so pages. That's an important part of this game. Then you got movement, of course. Here's the Hoplite phalanx movement. This is what I was telling you about, some of the special rules dealing with the movement and facing of a phalanx. There's column movement. Of course, you can always move more or easier in a column, but they're not suited for combat. Orderly withdrawal. Then you get into your stacking. Then you get into actual missile combat here. A few pages on that. Here's shot combat, which is the primary form. You're going to be throwing, large groups of men against each other in battle, and that's where there's going to be shock. There's going to be breaking of the cohesion, and that's where, and then retreats or withdrawals and the like. So that's where that's the primary thrust of this game is the shot combat and cohesion, which is kind of a form of morale, but it's more than that. It's how this group of men, how they're going to stay together and keep being efficient in combat. So, and you've got some examples here. You got design notes. You've got some play notes in gray, design notes in blue, but you've also got a lot of imagery here. So this kind of walks you through it. Here's special units. So there are your rules. All right, then you got scenario book. Scenario book's pretty big because there's a lot of battles in here. Scenario book is, well, there's nothing on that back page. So 46 pages, quite a lot more. But what you're going to get some of the special rules for Hoplite here. Not very many. Then you're right into the battles. So here's a battle. As you can see, quite wide open, and you're going to be able to have at it, right? Here's Marathon, very famous battle. Of course, we get the race from that. And here you see the units here. We have some terrain here, but a lot of this is going to be fought in the open. But each one of these, this is Plataea. This is a 2-mapper. This is the biggest one in this book, or in this volume 15. There's a lot going on here. This is kind of an epic battle, and it's the largest one in here. So you're going to have a lot of rules in here, notes. Here you got your order of battle and setup. And then you also have a simplified. So this, if you have the rules, simplified GBoH, which basically is the same as GBoH, except that it changes, it simplifies some of the rules, mainly on leaders and some of the other rules. It's kind of a misnomer. It's not really simple to play simple GBoH. It's just simpler or easier than the normal rules. Let's put it that way. So yeah, you're going to get all this for each one of these different battles. And there's a lot of battles in here. There really is. I don't know why I passed on this so much. See what else we got here. We've got player aids, or this is your turn track, and going to keep track of route points. That's a key part of the game, is your route points. And there's usually the scenarios will have a target of what your route points are. We've got two sets of, how many sets of charts do we have here? We got, because you're going to get 2 of each. So we got 4 of these. So here's standard charts and tables number 1, your movement costs, your shock superiority table, shock combat table, comparative weapon system. See, that's some of the detail of this game. You're going to have comparative weapon systems. You're going to be taking the attacker versus the defender, and then that's going to take you to another chart, and then eventually you'll come up with what the result is on there. So it's not the most complex combat system, but it's a little bit more complex than a simple old CRT. Here's your missile and fire effects. You get 2 of those charts. Then we have standard charts and tables 2. This is cohesion and troop quality, TQ. Each of the units will have a troop quality, and that's going to be kind of the thing that it's, for lack of a better term, it's kind of a morale check, but it's a cohesion check, and that's going to be able to check and see how they're going to stay in battle. Here's leader casualty chart, unit status effects, leader ratings, order summary, and your sequence of play. Awesome. We got 2 of those charts. Then we have simple. So this chart is just for simplified. So this is just simplified charts. So if you're not playing with the simplified system, you don't need this. But if you are playing with this, then this is a nice little reference for that. All right. Then we get to the counters. We got a few counters in here. And this is, let's turn them right side up, shall we? So you're going to have, these are your activation, and your scenario will tell you, what activations you put in there. Then you've got your leaders, and then you've got your units in here, as you can see. And the good quality, thick counters that you come to expect from GMT. They are double-sided. Now, I believe I'd have some C3Is that had some Hoplite units in it. C3Is are normally kind of the resource that GMT uses to do errata or corrections or scenarios or fix counters. I imagine this second edition, I don't necessarily need those because I imagine they're corrected in here. But the completionist in me, whenever I got a counter sheet from a C3I, I'm like, oh, I need that game now because I don't have that game, and but I have the corrected counters. What do I do? Do any of you suffer from that? Here are the counters. Now we get to see these big copies. Look at this one here. This is a big mama. Thebians. It's a big counter there. I mean, these are big enough, but are big compared to the others. But that's like it's a 4 wide right there. It's an aircraft carrier. All right. And these are more counters, but mostly these are administrative, and these are tracking cohesion and shock and some of your different administrative type counters there. Now we'll get to the maps, which they're double-sided. A lot of them, you get a bag of baggies, so you can keep track. You put your counters back, and you get a 10-sided die because that is what you use in this game. So let's look at these maps here. We got Marathon. Oh, jeez. Knocking stuff off my table here. And I'm probably going to have to go up Periscope a little bit here to get a better view of this. All right, early morning light's not coming through today either. But here is Marathon. And then on the back here, you got the Bay of Marathon way up there. And then this is half of Plataea. Oh, so where's the other half of Plataea? Let's find the other half of Plataea. Is it on here? Maybe it's on here. Looks like it's on here. So Plataea is a 2-mapper. I'm not familiar. Most of the other editions of Great Battles of History, I don't recall a 2-mapper in there. Maybe there have been, but don't recall a lot of 2-mappers. So that's kind of interesting that in this one, the most ancient of these, Chariots, I think, is the earliest in time. But let's see, there overlaps here a little bit. Look at that. That's huge. You've got the city of Plataea here. You've got temples. Here's the temple of Hera, the temple of Demeter. So it's kind of cool. You've got some cities here. You've got the Persian camp way up there. A lot of terrain, some vegetation, and some highlands right here. Very cool. Very interesting. All right, what's on the back side of this one here? Oh, this is one of those big open maps. Nothing to see here. But this is for these 3 battles, and it's just basically open terrain, right? Open season on that. Then we've got another couple, 2 more maps here. But that map right there is going to use 3 battles. And then, this one's not unfolding right. Here we go. Oh, then we got some split maps here. Here we go. Let's see what we got. Here we got bottom half is Mantinea. Then the top half here is Mycale. And again, I'm probably mispronouncing those. You've got a waterway or a bay here, and you got a city. That's interesting. Then you've got another one of these smaller but open map for those three battles, and then Delium at the top here with just a big old hill in the middle. There you have that. All righty. So this is all that you get in a box of Hoplite. So if you're familiar with the GBoH system, then this is probably, you probably already have this. And if you don't have this, then maybe you're waiting for the second edition to get any of the nits and nats out of the works or corrected. But I like this system a lot, and I'm kind of glad I finally picked this bad boy up. But that is all the stuff that you get in a box of Hoplite. If you have not played the GBoH system and you are interested in tactical battles from the ancient world or era, and you're interested primarily in Greco-Persian, this might be a good place to start. Now, there are some rules that are different in this, that there are rules that are different in this game based on the time period and the units, and it kind of talked about that a little bit on the back there, than from the other games, but there's still the core system that applies to all these series. So once you learn that core system, it's a matter of just knowing the little nuances for each of the different volumes. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I need to get this played more. I've got it on my queue to play. Now I got this one in my queue, but I've had Great Battles of Julius Caesar in my queue for quite a bit. I have kind of had it slated and then got busy. So I'll get some of these to the table, and check out my playlist, GBoH, if you want to see anything that I cover in this series. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Take care. Thanks for watching.